You're about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877 DOCDALI. So I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. And so the Bruce Cassidy and the Sundance kids, we are all the Sin City kids. We're all pretty big fans of. And so when Coach Bruce Cassidy got fired, a lot of us Vegas folks a little grumpy. Now, interestingly, I hate predicting this, but I went to the game, the Vegas Golden Knights game on Saturday, and I'm looking at Bruce. And Bruce is a neighbor of ours. I like him a lot. He's a nice guy. And you know, full disclaimer, I think he's cute. And interestingly, when I see him at the gym or when I see him walking around the neighborhood, I think he knows I think he's cute because whenever I see him, you know, I'm not in makeup and hair and all that, and I'm walking the dogs, and you know, I'm in you know, sweatpants with holes in it, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, there's the coach, and I'm trying to, like, you know, find some makeup on him. But he's a good guy. We've talked a lot, and he's I like him. I like the coach. But when I'm watching the game, and we had fairly good seats, we were really lucky to get seats. Our friend had tickets, and we I'm looking at him, and I'm like, I just got that feeling. I go, I bet they're going to fire him. And my husband's like, no, they wouldn't. I mean, he led us to the Stanley Cup. And I go, I don't want him fired. But I'm getting the feeling that if we struggle anymore, because we were down 0-3, we were down in the first period, early second period. And then, boy, we made an amazing comeback. But I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I think they're going to let him go this season. I didn't think they were going to do it the next day, especially since we wanted to double overtime. And you know, I see people online, and they're ticked. They're. I mean, even though, yeah, I predicted it, I'm not happy about it. But you know, in sports, in corporations and academia, there's always a scapegoat. And you know, you have here this coach that, yeah, you know, Vegas Golden Knights struggling a little bit. And interesting about the Golden Knights, we always seem to have a little bit of a you know, some challenges early in the season. Now, we always make it to the playoffs. We just do. And maybe it's because we have some injured, and I'm neighbors with a lot of them. And so, yeah, some of them are injured. Some of them are recuperating. Some of them are, you know, trying to recover from the USA Gold Hockey Olympics. You know, even though Eichel was out there in top form. Missed one of the shootouts, but that's okay. I like him. Although, you know, actually, I get some blame. I didn't realize this. Full disclosure. My dog, I have two dogs. One who never potties when we go on a walk, but the other dog always likes to poop and poops in the Golden Knights players' yards. And I pick it up to the best that I can. But I wonder if part of their season, they're struggling because of me, because the dog is ticking them off, pooping in their yards. That's not good. I'll talk to the dog, because that really is. I clean it up. I'm always with bags, but still nobody wants that, and nobody wants to see it. I got to figure out, the dog will not wait. There's like 2 little baby parks that the dog could get to. There's ample opportunity. It just, there's no open field. And so the dog decides to wait until we're at a Golden Knights house and then decides to potty. And it's ridiculous because I try to walk fast. That's neither here nor there. But there's always a scapegoat. When these, you know, just like what you saw with the Raiders, Pete Carroll, there was no way Pete Carroll, who is, I think, a good coach. I mean, he led the Seahawks to Super Bowl championships. There's no way Pete Carroll was able to turn around the Raiders in one season, but they can them anyway. They have to, they feel like they have to make a change. Look at the North Carolina basketball coach. Really? After 5 seasons, bringing the Tar Heels to, was it the Tar Heels to, you know, to final, not Final Four, but at least to the Sweet 16 before? No. Apparently, there always has to be a skate. They have to make it look like they're doing something. And so here they take Bruce Cassidy and they're like, well, you know what? If the Golden Knights are struggling, we'll just shake things up a bit. I mean, did they really have to do that? So now Coach Tortorella he was with the Philadelphia Flyers. I believe he hasn't coached in about a year. He's now going to take over, John Tortorella. I mean, I'm optimistic, but it's definitely a concern. Now, one thing though I did notice, because I look at Bruce Cassidy and with a doctor eye. It's not just that I find him very cute, but I noticed he was very, very tan. Now, I don't think he was on vacation recently because the Golden Knights have been in full season. This tan looks like JFK tan. Now, JFK had Addison's disease, primary adrenal insufficiency. And so I'm a little nervous. So next time I see Bruce, they call him Bruce. Next time I see him, I'll just kind of say, look, he always, when he sees me, he goes, oh, my wife says hi. Or my wife, I go, yeah, I know you're married. All right. Always brings up the wife. I go, I know you're married. It's okay. It's okay. And you're not even on my list. My little laminated list from Friends. Not even on my list. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. But he has that tan, that very, very tan look. And so I'm hoping there's not an issue with the adrenals. People always ask, why was JFK so tan? Why would an adrenal insufficiency cause the darkening of the skin? Well, the mechanism has to do with the ACTH. So basically, if your adrenal glands are not producing enough cortisol, your pituitary gland produces high levels of this ACTH to wake up the adrenal glands. It's kind of like a feedback mechanism. The ACTH, however, also stimulates melanocyte receptors. So when somebody has low cortisol, the pituitary signal keeps going higher just to kind of wake up the adrenals, whatever, ability it has. And then, unfortunately, that sort of hormone triggers melanocytes, which cause tans. Just like with thyroid. When people say, I don't understand, I have low thyroid, but my TSH is high, it's because that's a pituitary hormone trying to wake up the thyroid and scream at it to make more hormone. That's kind of how it works. But I got to tell you, man, I'm not happy that Coach Cassidy, that he took us to the Stanley Cups, and he always takes us to the playoffs. So I'm a big fan. I'm just upset about that. 1-877 Doc Dolly.
Many people avoid life-saving colonoscopy screenings due to unexpected costs. New federal report language urges CMS to make clear patients should have access to all FDA-approved bowel preparations that meet medical standards without cost sharing. Gastroenterologist Dr. Eric Shaw has more.
Despite a federal requirement that preventive colorectal cancer screenings be covered, our analysis found that bowel preparation medications, an essential part of a colonoscopy, often aren't covered by insurance. Clear CMS guidance could help patients access the most effective, more tolerable FDA-approved PrEP.
Despite this, analysis shows 83% of patients still face costs for bowel prep medications.
The quality of the colonoscopy depends entirely on how clean the colon is. If the bowel prep doesn't work well, polyps and cancer can be missed and the patient can need to repeat the procedure, delaying diagnosis and increasing cost.
Visit asge.org to learn more and contact your elected representative to ensure approved bowel prep is covered without cost.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799 and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So maybe maybe my next career is going to be in political strategy. I really love political strategy. I like looking at what the Democrats need to do and the Republicans need to do. I just love strategy. It's just something I've always been, attracted to. And when I saw what was happening with these no kings, I'm looking at the Democrats as, oh, boy, are you missing opportunities? Oh, you are really missing the mark on messaging. Why would you do no kings? Fire whoever is the PR group behind that, oh my gosh, there's so many better ways to promote the Democratic Party's messaging. And I'm seeing, Trump in a baby diaper, a balloon. I'm seeing these dancing dinosaurs. And and then just the concept of no kings. For me, okay, now I'm American. I don't want to see single party rule. I want to see Republicans and Democrats work together. All right. I also want to see election integrity. I don't want to think that anybody feels that the election was stolen. So, interestingly, a very, shall we say, unpopular part of the Republican platforming was how they felt that the mail ballot, which was a debacle, the mail ballots were never tested and tried, and then we still get them mailed out without somebody actually assigning one to them. And my family only gets 2 out of the 4. And so the mail ballot, is a mess. But it wasn't very popular. When the Republicans were saying, well, the election was stolen in 2020. It was stolen in 2020. That's not popular. So when I heard that the Democrats were doing no kings, okay, I'm thinking, well, okay, he was elected. Trump was elected. Unless the Democrats are trying to say he's a king because he just took over. He was never elected. I mean, if you're saying king, I mean, I could be wrong, but a king is a monarchy. You have a king where nobody elected you to be there. You didn't really have popularity. It was a lineage, or you stole something like an election. And so and again, I'm just talking from the strategy standpoint. Why would the Democrats call him a king? That, because then especially if he was elected and he won very robustly, then you're almost doing the unpopular Republican campaign of the election being stolen. But people are saying, no, it's not that he's a king because he, got the election. It's because of ICE. Now, that's also an argument that's going to be a problem. Again, I wish I could talk to the PR people behind all this, because I'm like, you guys are kind of really, you're kind of all over the place here. I like to teach. I like to improve. I want America stronger. And seeing dinosaurs and funny turtles and I don't know what was dancing around certain cities, and then you saw people graffitiing and saying kill ICE agents. I mean, that's not a good look for the Democrats. It's not a good look. Okay. I mean, I come from a family that has Democrats and Republicans in it. I don't want to see anybody look like they're an idiot. And this was pretty stupid. These protests were pretty ludicrous. If you're saying Trump is a king because he has ICE deporting, then are you saying the Canadian prime minister is also a king? The Mexican president, that she's a queen? Or are you then Because, I mean, every country deports. Are you saying Obama was a king? I mean, then the fighting of the deportation aspect, every country, well, I mean, anytime I travel internationally, I mean, there's all this fine line saying how I'll get deported if I do X, Y, and Z. I need to be there legally, and I'm only there for a certain period of time, then I need to get my ass out. If not, they will deport me. So are you saying you don't want kings if it's related to ICE throughout the whole? So now anybody who deports is a king? Then somebody could say, well, it's the executive orders. He's a king because of executive orders. Well, Biden did executive orders, Bush did executive orders, Obama did executive orders. And now we're being told that, we've known this for a while, that Russia was helping Iran. Russia has been taking satellite images of our bases before we even started this attack on Iran. Russia had actually given intelligence to Iran, and then Iran started attacking our bases. Iran's been attacking us for 47 years. It's confusing. It's a very confusing message, you know, and I understand that in PR or in marketing, you want a simple phrase, but it's just no kings was not the way to go. And it's a mess. And it's interesting because I have a lot of friends who are Republicans and Democrats and all that. And collectively, they're like, okay, this is embarrassing. You know, I understand the progressives are about tax the wealthy. Is that tax the rich? And I think there was a big campaign. Bernie Sanders is interesting because we've caught him hypocritical. You know, he was all about anti-pharmaceutical company, anti-pharma. And then all of a sudden when the COVID vaccine came out, it was, and then mask. But then when he got to be in a picture frame with Biden, he immediately rips off his mask during one of the State of the Unions so he could take pictures. And he can, and so, you can't be hypocritical. The Republicans and Democrats can't be hypocritical. And then today, with the Senate, this is ridiculous. We think the Senate is going to come back to fund TSA and fund DHS, and instead they met just to say that they're going to re-adjourn on Thursday. That was the big headline. So everybody's sitting here going, what the hell's going on? It's spring break. It's Easter week, Passover week. What's going on with the flights? And so, so Trump signs an executive order to fund the TSA. I think bipartisanly, people are like, yeah, that should happen. That should. And so, I understand that the midterms are coming. And so the Democrats are trying to find a way where they have a message or a platform. But it's going to be very, very hard for them to sell this, he's a king. That's not selling. It was a very poor PR campaign, but a very well-funded one. Apparently, we're being told that they got this No Kings campaign got $3 billion in combined revenue. $3 billion, including, I guess, communist groups. That and that apparently, according to Fox News, I guess funded political advocacy organization of Democrats was funded by George Soros. And then there were radical socialist and communistic organizations funded by Neville Roy Singham, an American tech, I guess, who is a communist living in China, who avows himself as to be a communist. And so this, you're not going to sell it. You're just not going to sell it. Now, some Americans want socialism, but they don't want communism. Mondami got elected, not by, the majority of New Yorkers, because the majority of New Yorkers didn't vote. But Mondami won his election by a landslide because people are like, well, maybe socialism is the way to go. And so if you might want to, if you're a Democrat, you might want to take some lessons, although not the anti-Semitic and pro, Islam jihad sort of messaging that apparently, had been on Twitter, and not the anti-cop messaging, but some of the PR in terms of getting into a role where you're helping Americans, but putting a diapered Trump in a balloon and dinosaurs dancing around and then doing graffiti, it's not going to help the Democrats. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, don't go away.
Looking for a gift that can actually help secure someone's future? It's Mark Falter's new book, Common Sense Income Strategies. It makes the perfect gift for that special someone in your life. Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using time-tested strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. To learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Secure your future with Common Sense Income Strategies by Mark Falter. Again, to learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Dolly Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. So medicine has really, really changed. I mean, since Obamacare, it's almost unrecognizable. And since COVID, even more unrecognizable. And I understand I'm old school. Well, I trained as a family doc. And so in family medicine, you took care of the pregnant mom, you delivered that baby. You would then take care of that baby. You would take care of mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle. And you would see these kids grow up, and then they would have kids. Now, in fact, it's interesting. My OB-GYN, I love so much. My son is engaged. And so, I told them if they, when they do start a family, my doctor is amazing. I would, and they're really excited about then having, the doctor that delivered my son to now be the doctor that then, helps now his child. Albeit, God willing, that they start having a family, after they're married. And so, cause one step at a time, they're trying to, now plan the wedding and all that. But there was that that longitudinal care. If there was something, I worked in an ER. I moonlighted in an ER and then urgent care. So I was very, very comfortable with emergency medicine and urgent care medicine. So I built my clinic such that, we had x-ray, I could sew, I could splint, I could do what I needed to. But if a family doctor didn't have it set up where they could do urgent care needs, they would send you to the urgent care. And the question that we would answer back in 2010, 2011 was, when do you go to an urgent care? When do you go to an ER? Well, you go to an ER if you're having, horrible abdominal pain, trauma, something where you're going to need imaging. You might need surgery. You might need a hospital admission. Whereas urgent care is if you need something addressed and sewn or splinted or x-rayed, not CAT scan, but x-rayed, antibiotics, evaluation for flu, things like that. Let's say you broke a toenail. The urgent care can numb it up. You don't have to necessarily go to an ER for that. The urgent care can numb up the toe, remove the removed nail, put some Xeroform, or try to hold the integrity of that nail bed, refer you to a podiatrist. I mean, urgent cares could, did I reduce dislocated shoulders in urgent cares? I could have, But luckily, I lived in an area where they could go to the ER for that. But, sometimes we would do that in the urgent care. I worked at one urgent care where we were getting a fib, SVT, and I'm like, you really should be going to the ER, but let me help you while you're here, because the insurance company started to send people with Obamacare to urgent cares to save money. But I'm like, this is something where we're going to have to hover and watch over you and make sure you don't code. You really should be in the ER for something like this. But urgent cares would sometimes handle the acuity of like a mini ER. So now that most people lost their doctor. The average person doesn't know the name of the provider that is about to see them, is going to meet them for the very, very first time. The average person doesn't even have a doctor or medical provider. They'll use telemedicine. And so when the telemedicine provider is like, look, you got a splinter, you got a laceration, you have a burn, you need to go in and get seen. I'm getting from patients, and this is what everybody's saying, is, well, the urgent care won't do anything. I'm like, yes, they will. Go in there. Of course they will. They'll numb it up. They'll sew. They'll remove the splinter. No. I've been to urgent cares. They won't even swab you. Well, I'm like, they need to know if you have flu or COVID. No. They said, doesn't make sense to swab. Just here's the medicine. And I'm like, nah, what is that a real full-fledged urgent care? Now, not all urgent cares are like that, but I'm hearing, and when I heard it for the first patient or two, I'm like, okay, come on, please, yeah, they will. But I'm hearing the same thing. No, they're not going to swab me. They're not going to take out the splinter. They're not going to address the toenail. They're going to just send me to the ER. And I'm like, well, for me to work at an urgent care, I had to, really? That's not happening? In fact, it's interesting. Now, when a patient has a baby or young child, I tell them, call the urgent care and see if they even are comfortable with kids that age. Now, me being family medicine, I was trained in neonatal. I was trained in kids of all ages, OB, all that. And I guess maybe they're staffing people, because even the physician assistants and nurse practitioners are trained similarly. But maybe their staff is like, I can't see anybody under 2, or I can't see anybody over 80, or I can't. And that's kind of confusing, because when you're a family doc, you're supposed to see anybody and everybody. I mean, we're not supposed to, but we even make an opinion on the dog. I mean, it's a whole family. And actually, I took a lot of time to teach myself a lot of veterinary medicine, because I didn't realize how much the dog or cat could play in some of their health, as opposed to ringworm and scratches and bites and rabies and things like that. And so I'll ask, I go, how old is the animal? How old is the dog? What, are they too young for the rabies vaccine yet? I mean, these are things that, but nowadays, no. This is my narrow scope. I'll get sued if I go outside of that scope. I haven't gotten the experience, because nowadays we only work in this smaller scope. And so patients are like, don't send me to an urgent care. Nothing's going to get done. Now, and again, most urgent cares are, I think, the way the urgent cares that I worked at, where they will handle most issues. But it sounds like you're going to have to call them first. And so, I'm sending patients to the urgent care to save them money so they don't have to go to the ER. And I'm hearing patients, now, on the flip side, and this is in the urgent care's defense, many patients now with their Obamacare plan, which something has to happen, is if they go to the ER, they will be bankrupt. So they are forcing an urgent care to do the ER work. So I had a patient with acute abdominal pain. I thought they were having appendicitis. I said, all right, so you need to go to the ER. They're like, no, let me go to an urgent care. And I go, but if the urgent care doesn't have a CAT scan, if they're not comfortable diagnosing you with appendicitis and can't get you admitted and get you a surgeon, they're like, well, let me go to the urgent care first. And I have to tell them, I go, but you understand, then you're going to pay twice. If you go to an urgent care and the urgent care doctor or provider is like, we can't treat you here, you now need to go to an ER, you're now paying twice. Well, I just can't go to the ER, so let me fix this at home. I had a woman who was really dizzy and passing out. So I said, call 911 or let me call 911 for you. No, I'm not going to an ER. And I'm like, well, I don't know if an urgent care is going to be comfortable. I'm not going to an urgent care either. Just fix it over the phone. I can't fix it over the phone. So maybe what's happening with the urgent cares is so many people are at the ER grade in terms of medical care that they're coming into the urgent cares, and the urgent cares are like, I just can't. You're at the wrong place. I want to help you, but you got to go to an ER. There's only so much we could do because they then take on the liability. But there's a lot of simple things that urgent care should be able to address. You know, one thing I addressed a lot in urgent care was an olecranon bursitis. So somebody would come in with a swollen, I even did that in my office. They'd come in with a swollen bursa that's covering the elbow. And so now they have this big ball of fluid. And they're like, this looks ridiculous. What happened? Well, it's an olecranon bursitis. So I would suck out the fluid, make sure it didn't look infected, make sure there was no pus. If it looked clear, then I would inject a steroid in there. If I thought it was infected, would immediately put them on antibiotics and then send them to the ER to rule out a septic joint. Apparently, we're hearing urgent cares aren't doing that either. So I don't blame the urgent cares. I think maybe some urgent cares, if they're like attached to a grocery store, they might have limited sort of, tools and supplies, but call ahead first because this isn't your mom's or grandma's urgent care. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
Hey guys, it's Clyde. You know, we've had a lot of requests for Ground Zero merchandise, so we put together an online store with a big variety of high-quality items. I'm really excited to let you know about these things. We have a lot to offer you and your loved ones. In addition to our regular apparel, such as t-shirts, beanies, hoodies, and hats, we've expanded our product line with posters, flags, aprons, mugs, and a whole lot more. We also have Ground Zero collectibles along with a limited edition of items like a Clyde Lewis canvas portrait, a Ground Zero embroidered jacket that will certainly make for great gifts and for interesting conversations with family and friends. And we now offer publications such as Ron Patton's book about mind control, MK Zine, and back copies of the official magazine of Ground Zero while it was in print. Paranoia, the Conspiracy Reader, also coming in 2023, are updated and revised books that I've written. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. So shop today at our official store by going to groundzeromerch.com. Again, that's groundzeromerch.com.
Hey, America. How tired are you of mainstream corporate media's biased narratives and manipulated news? Their dishonesty and attempts to influence this generation have been exposed, put on display for anyone who's even half paying attention. But the New American Magazine has been an honest source of news and commentary for over 50 years. This is your opportunity to receive the stalwart of principled journalism at a deep discount. Picture a beautifully published magazine arriving at your doorstep twice a month, packed with insightful stories written with integrity. It's also available digitally on the New American's mobile app. Get up to speed with intelligent coverage from a freedom perspective. Right now, for a limited time, the New American is available to radio listeners at a 25% discount on a new subscription. Visit thenewamerican.com/radio25 and receive 25% off. Subscribe today at thenewamerican.com/radio25.
We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOCDALI. So when I saw in Florida that there was a rollover crash that involved Tiger Woods and it happened in the morning, first thing sadly came to my mind is he was under the influence of something, pills, something. I don't think he's big on alcohol, but based on the 2017 crash, I was worried that it was pills or medication. And then the next thought that came to my mind is, why doesn't he have a driver? You can't keep getting arrested like this. I mean, he's back playing again. He's golfing again. He's dating Vanessa Trump, who has the grandchildren of Trump. And from what I understand, Trump's team does not want Tiger Woods driving his grandchildren around. Kai Trump now is very, very heavy into golf. So we're assuming that she has some relationship with, Tiger Woods in terms of, not that he's a stepdad yet, but I am sure they're close. And so Trump doesn't want them driving to the golf course together. Not sure if they've done that yet. So what's happening? This Tiger Woods is rich. He could have a driver. Now, mind you, I like to drive. The day, God forbid, I'm not healthy enough to drive is going to be a sad, sad day. I love driving. I really miss stick shift, and I want to get another stick or standard. I just really miss driving. I do. But I drive. I miss real driving where you have to shift. And your car is noisy, and you're hoping that you can make it to the gas station on fumes of gas. And it was exciting growing up, or not growing up, but when I was poor, I had a car with no air conditioning, and now the car, it's boring. My son has a hybrid, and I borrowed his hybrid. You hit a button, you don't even hear the car rev, and then it's smooth, but I don't want smooth. I want to feel the road. I don't know. But back to Tiger Woods. What is going on with Tiger Woods? What is really going on? Remember, he had issues with his one of his wives, first wife, I think. And I forget how many times he's been married. And then there were accusations that he was cheating and that, and you look at this athlete who's a very highly decorated athlete. 15-time champion? I mean, the Masters, his career is so highly decorated, considered one of the GOATs. Was Jack Nicklaus, who's not really as into golf as I should be, but he has a highly decorated career. Probably has suffered a lot of injuries, not even including the car accidents. But I guess his excuse when he was caught cheating or alleged cheating, it was he is sex addiction. And I remember we talked about that on the show. My issue with sex addiction is if you are really addicted to sex, then it's not going to be the beautiful blonde bombshell. You will sleep with, somebody who's not a 10, a 2, a 3. And so if somebody is caught cheating and it's with somebody gorgeous or they're attracted to, is it that they're a sex addict or that they're just, cheating? I mean, a sex addict, that's a little different. A sex addict is also when you can't stop masturbating and things like that. It's a much different diagnosis. But I thought that was a sign that he might be struggling, or whether it's depression, whether it's anxiety, whether it's a lot of athletes. Michael Phelps has opened up about this. A lot of athletes have struggled with their mental health because we talked about post-athletic depression, where you make the gold, you make the Masters, you make the Super Bowl, and then what? What's your next goal? And so people think it's just downhill from there. I look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady looks happy, but is he? I mean, Tom Brady, he kind of, he wanted to retire, and then after, it was 8 days, he tapped out. I thought it was because the kids and wife might have driven him crazy. But is it that? No, he wasn't happy. And so if he's not happy in the sport, especially since that last season with him and the Bucks didn't go as well as planned, then he wasn't happy at home. And now we're hearing, he really, really liked flag football, so maybe he wants to go back. Now, I don't think he's, clinically depressed, but you wonder, what sort of psyche goes on with these athletes. Then, on top of that, you have somebody who's had multiple surgeries and pain. Well, Tiger Woods was arrested on suspicion of DUI. I don't believe there was any alcohol. His breathalyzer was negative. But it was 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so it was morning my time. And it was near where he lived on Jupiter Island, Florida. And he tried to pass a pressure cleaner truck. He was on a 2-lane road. He swerved to avoid a collision as he was passing the truck, clipped the back end of the truck's trailer, and then his vehicle rolled onto the driver's side. He showed signs of impairment. This was on Friday, but the breathalyzer test was negative, but he refused to take a urine test. So authorities charged him with driving under the influence, property damage, and refusal to submit to a lawful test. Now, I know some people are like, but Dr. Dahlia, that's what my lawyer always told me to do. Not my lawyer, but yeah, I'm sure a lot of you guys are told never submit to a test because you could stall and then hopefully your body could rid itself of any of the medications. I'm telling you right now, they could do hair tests. There's ways to where you might think you're saving hours, but your refusal and then a lawyer getting involved, and then by the time the testing does get done, there's a chance that you might be clean in that. But it's only, I guess, a misdemeanor in Florida if you refuse. So I understand why he did that. But his issue in 2017, so when they say DUI, everybody thinks DUI is alcohol. DUI means driving under the influence. You could be in trouble for driving under the influence if you take a Benadryl for allergies. If you are taking something that makes you tired and impairs you, there are some states that were actually looking at over-the-counter medications and looking to see if they should include those in DUIs. So it depends on the state you live in. But if you're taking a medication that causes you to be drowsy and you're driving, that you could get in trouble for DUI. So, interestingly, back in 2009, when his wife attacked him because she was mad about him cheating, they say he was incoherent, and he was at the time on Vicodin and sleeping pills. And then, this was in 2021, I guess he had a rollover crash, and there was an empty, unlabeled pill container in the car. But Tiger Woods, at the time of the arrest, thought he was in Florida, not California at the time. In 2017, according to Yahoo Sports, he was arrested when police found him asleep at the wheel. He had in his system Vicodin, Dilaudid, Xanax, Ambien, and THC. Now, Vicodin and Dilaudid are used in people who are post-op, people in pain. Dilaudid is huge. That suggests he's in a lot of pain. Xanax is an anti-anxiety medicine. Could be from the narcotic use. It could be from other things. Ambien is for sleep. And then THC is the psychedelic component of marijuana. And so Woods entered an inpatient rehab facility for prescription medication addiction. And so you're looking at this, and I pray for him. If he is on medication and he isn't using good, I guess, decision making when he's driving, I would say hire a driver. All right, and I would say stop driving. I would. It's just not worth it. You keep getting pulled over. You're either asleep at the wheel or that not good. But this is a very bad pattern. This is a worrisome pattern. Everybody thought Tiger Woods is good. He's back. He's playing again. He's dating the daughter-in-law of the president or the ex-daughter-in-law of the president. He's got now a whole new chapter ahead of him. And this happens. And it could just be a coincidence, but I think he could be struggling with a lot more, whether it's depression, anxiety, post-athletic depression, and then also TBI, traumatic brain injury from previous accidents. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, don't go away. Hi guys, Dr. Dahlia here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdahlia.com. Check it out.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot's Secret Gasoline Extreme, the solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot's Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.